be breaking down the rest of the Stony Brook versus Hopkins women's lacrosse game from 2018. So last week we started kind of watching this game and talking about different plays that stood out. And there are things that happen in this game that are both good and bad, and you can learn from both. So it's important to understand that. So, typically if a play happens, it might be a breakdown on one side and it might be a good play on the other. Other times it's just, it's just a great, lucky, creative play that you can't really do anything about. But for the most part, there's something that you can learn on each play on both sides of the ball. So we're not just looking at, at Stony Brook during this film. We're also looking at Hopkins. And sometimes we might be looking at one side or the other, but either way, just understand that you should be looking at both sides of the ball and don't just get caught up on one player like, oh, I'm just going to watch Kylie because I'm an attacker, or hey, I'm just going to watch Hopkins because I want to watch their goalie. It's important for you to kind of watch all the players working together. You want to kind of watch different positions. So if you're a defender, you want to watch attackers. Attackers, you should watch defenders, etc. So I don't know why this is popping up, so let me get this out of here. Quit that. All right, cool. All right, so without further ado, let's get going. So Stony Brook's up right now, 4-1. All right, we're about a half hour into the game. All right, Stony Brook has the ball. Just to set the stage a little bit, Stony Brook at this point is, all right, #1 in the country. They're undefeated. All right, Coach Sam DeSalva, who's in our program, is a captain of the team. She's right here. All right, I'm going to go back and I want to watch this goal in particular between Kylie Allmiller and I believe it's her sister. But this is a great example of what's called the two-man game. So I got to go back here because we missed it. So I'll let this play out. So the two-man game is kind of what we work on a lot in box lacrosse. It's when two players work together in order to either get themselves or get their teammate open. It's very difficult to defend, all right? Now, in this situation, Kylie has the ball behind the goal with her sister over here, I believe, on the left side. Notice the spacing of the players up top, which gives these two players behind, all right? Let me just highlight my mouse so you can see it a little better. So these two players behind now have an opportunity to play with all this space. So even if they come above goal line extended, which is this blue line that runs right along the goalie's heels, all right, they're going to have tons of space. All right, now, as I click play here, hopefully it plays. All right, let's pause here for a second. All right. Notice how her teammate or her sister to the left is starting to get underneath her dodge, okay? That's really important because it frees up her left hand and also gives her an option to get to her right hand. Now, these defenders, it looks like they're playing sides. That's risky, all right? Playing sides means you're not going to follow the player that you're guarding. You're just going to stay on that same side. The reason that it's risky is because if you don't communicate here, it could give the option and the opportunity for the off-ball player to slip into space for an easy goal. This is something we work on in box lacrosse all the time. That's why we say this off-ball player, if you move deliberately and intelligently and you move with purpose, you can actually free yourself up for a goal. So notice what this off-ball player does and the type of look she gets because of it. Right? So miscommunication, both defenders go to the ball and she ends up slipping upfield for a goal. So that's a perfect example of how just simply getting underneath a dodge and recognizing that the defense misplays a certain situation, you can get yourself open for a goal. So again, that's the two-man game, and that can happen behind the goal. All right, here's a little instant replay. All right, she starts to get underneath, slips upfield. Kylie makes a great look and throws a great pass to where her stick is, to where she was, and that allows her to quickly turn upfield. And notice how many fakes she threw too. She probably threw about 2 fakes before she got a shot on goal. And the more fakes you throw, it actually increases your angle, your scoring angle, and it also puts the goalie usually out of position. So it might force the goalie to drop to their knees. It might have the goalie come further out, which again, if you keep moving around the crease, allows you to shoot around the goalie and score. So there's a lot of good stuff that happened in that one play right there offensively. And then defensively, you want to try to stay with your girl back there. it's very important you don't just kind of, play sides unless that's part of your defensive scheme. But if it is, you got to communicate that. All right, so here's a draw. This girl is like one of the best draw players in the country in the history of Stony Brook. So one thing I want you girls to notice, especially if you take the draw, or even if you're on the circle, notice where she grabs this ball. So ref's going to blow the whistle. She's going to pop it high into space. Right, here's the ball. She gets it at the highest point. All right, that's super, super important. Right, especially, we got some girls on the call here, especially, right? You have height. You got to use that height to your advantage. All right, if you don't try to get the ball at the highest point, you could have a smaller draw girl just beat you by quickness, right? She might beat you by boxing you out and getting better body position, etc. So Stony Brook now is the ball. Just let you guys watch a little bit, just how they work for each other. A little two-man game. She set a pick there, right? Looks like they jammed it inside and Kylie got pushed. All right, so now Kylie's going to set up for a free position here. And I want to talk through this because this is real. This is a great example of why Kylie is so great. She's super skilled and creative, and she can release the ball from different points. And what I mean by that is she doesn't always shoot overhand because that's not always the best option. This is a situation where Kylie actually drops her hands. So it goes from having the head of her stick at her ear to shooting at her hip, because what happens a lot of times on a free position, right? Defenders are taught to obviously crash and take a good angle, but also to put your stick up and get your stick in the shooter's lane. So get your stick in a shooting lane or disrupt the shot. So instead, Kylie is smart enough to realize that this girl right here is not only going to crash in and get her stick up, but because she's going to do that, Kylie's going to drop her hands and release the ball undisrupted because the defender's stick is so high. So watch this girl here. Notice how Kylie dropped her hands and was able to get a smooth shot off on goal. So we'll see if they play that again. But, that's something that takes a lot of reps in practice. I think a lot of girls might get yelled at for dropping their hands and shooting sidearm. But if you practice it enough and understand the situation with which you should drop your hands, it's actually a really effective play. So, all right, so I'm going to fast forward a little bit here. And we're going to move on. Oh, here's a little replay. Let's watch her drop her hands again. That was a sweet goal. All right, so let's get to 35. I'm going to go here. Okay. Here we are. All right, I love this play. Here's a draw. Here's Coach Sam DeSalvo, right where my circle is, number 11. All right. She does a lot of little things that don't show up in a stat book. And I'm going to show you an example of one of those things right now. Okay, we got to chat. Hold on. Oh, Amelia's class. Take care, Amelia. All right, so here's Sam. Let's key in on her. All right, fighting full speed for a ground ball, not quitting on the play. All right, freeze. All right, ref called a violation against Stony Brook. So it's now Hopkins' ball. Notice what Sam does as soon as she hears the whistle. Drops the ball and sprints back in the hole. That simple play can prevent your team from letting up easy goals. All right, and because she did that and moved so quickly, all right, notice what Kylie does as well. She quickly gets back and cuts the girl off. There was a delay here, which she actually probably should have stayed with her at this moment, but because there was a delay, it just slowed up their clear. So you turned what should be a quick clear into something that might be a slower break or a more difficult way to advance the ball up the field. Now, even though there's a little miscommunication, just understand how someone like Coach Sam reacts to losing the ball. A lot of times you lose the ball, you might throw it out of frustration, right? You might argue with the ref, put your palms up. She just quickly sprints and gets back right in the hole. All right, so we're gonna watch Stony Brook's D a little bit here. That was a nice goal. It was a look inside from. So if a team's playing zone like Stony Brook, a lot of times you want to work to get those shots in and around the crease, which you know, which are tough to come by because jamming the ball inside is risky and you need really skilled players and you have to time it up nicely so that way you get that ball inside. But that was a nice play there. Watch the instant replay. Looks inside, gets the ball in and out of her stick quickly. That was nice. All right, I'm going to fast forward to this next draw here. All right. Oh, whoops. Let's see. Let's go to the 37 mark. All right, so another draw, some great things to learn, again, that maybe don't show up in the stat book at the draw circle. We're going to key on this girl, Alec Kennedy, right here. Okay, so notice what happens. She goes up for the ball and gets knocked down. Okay, most players take anywhere from 4 to 10 seconds to get up. Okay, she'll probably get up in less than 3 seconds. Look what happens because of it. Her teammate's in trouble. Now they have a transition because she popped up after getting crushed. All right, that's a really subtle thing that, again, toughness can create opportunities in this game, and that's why she's on the circle, because she's so tough. So very important, especially in that situation, to pop up. Another thing I want to talk about here in this transition situation, Coach Sam is getting ahead of the play. All right, by getting ahead of the play, you're forcing these defenders that are down here near and around the goal to mark up with you. All right, if you stay even, all right, the defender don't have to worry about you. They can get in and mark up. But if you get ahead of the play and you're putting pressure on the defense, you're going to force the defense to have to respect you and match up with you. All right, so Coach Sam does a great job of that. All right, Allie pushes the ball in transition. All right, they get it down the side. All right, and now Stony Brook has the ball. All right, so that was a great look to the back pipe, which rings it off the crossbar, it looks like. Okay, let's go back here for a second. I want to talk about this. All right, so there's that look inside, shot off the crossbar. All right, so Kylie does a great job just getting the ball back for her team. It's a tough ground ball. All right, and now look where the defense is right now. All right, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then obviously your goalie. So all 7 players are below this 5-yard marker, this football 5-yard marker. So Kylie does a great job. Instead of jamming the ball to these players inside and trying to get an assist, she does what's called a skip pass. She skips the ball all the way through the defense up top, and look what results because of it. So she skips it to Sam. Sam steps in to try to get shooting space, doesn't get it, moves it, steps in, and they end up getting shooting space, all because Kylie picked up a tough ground ball, skipped it, Sam quickly moved it, and now they're set up for a great little spot right on this corner hash here. Or, I'm sorry, corner of the 8. So let's talk a little bit about this right here. All right, if you're in this position and you're a right-handed player, all right, the angle of pursuit that you take at the goal is super important. So if your first step starts going this way, all right, you're going to gradually run at an angle, because remember the box lacrosse concept we talked about? If your stick, all right, is to the outside, you have less angle when you release the ball in the net. If your stick's to the inside, you have a better angle. So even though she's a righty, she can still shoot this righty if she takes a good angle at the goal this way, okay? I just saw a comment. I just want to check that out, make sure we're good. All right, Nicoletta, see you later. Enjoy math. All right. So let's just watch this play and notice the angle she takes, which I think is a really good one. All right. So she immediately attacks the middle of the field. Goalie makes a great save, but she probably should have pulled that thing off the goalie's hip. Instead, she tried to shoot it to the goalie's stick side, which is a lot tougher spot to score, especially on a lefty goalie, and especially when you're on that side of the field. But takes a great angle, and that's something that we all have to think about. So nice job by the goalie too after she made a save, quickly outletting the ball up the field. That allowed Hopkins to get this easy clear here right up the side. All right, in a second, we're going to talk defense here, and we're going to talk about defending X, which is behind the goal. All right, so any of my defenders or middies that get stuck back there, All right, let's talk about this. Now, there's two things that you can do in terms of defending back here. Now, you can play sides like we talked about earlier, which is when Kylie threw that little slip pass to her sister to score a goal, or you can maintain your matchups and stay with your girl. So back here right now, if you'll notice, this girl right here is on ball, okay, and she is going to pass her off. They're playing sides, right? So that's one way to defend this. All right, now I don't know if it's this possession. Let's play it out. Okay, perfect. Now within the same possession, even though they were just playing sides and they switched that, okay, you can still also maintain your matchups by staying with your girls, right? So since she had already approached her and made that contact, she's going to stay with her. She's not just going to pass her off right now, right? Because if she just passed her off at this point because she's committed to her, that's giving this girl right here off ball all this space to slip up the field, just like we saw earlier, and give her an opportunity to catch, turn the corner, and score. So by her now staying with her matchup, notice how they get nothing out of this, all right? Still maintain pressure, everyone's matched up, and they're in a good spot. So that just talks about the nuance of playing the ball behind a little bit in that two-man game. That was a really good example of how to defend back there. All right, so let this play out a little bit here. All right, Stony Brook is in a backer zone. All right, meaning the girls are not playing man-to-man. They're playing a zone with a girl who's a backer who's kind of free to roam around outside the 8-meter. It's kind of like their stable defense. Okay. All right, little transition here. Alec Kennedy, one of the fastest players, just advancing the ball up the field and throwing it when needed. Wow, that was a great save by the goalie. All right, let's go back and talk about this for a second. All right, you might hear coaches say the defense needs to be ball side. All right, right now the ball is here, right? And you have, if you were to draw an imaginary line, I call this the rhino line. If you were to draw a rhino line down the middle of the field, just like that, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 of your 7 players are not ball side. This girl doesn't really do you much good because even though she's ball side, she's staring off ball, does not have her head in a swivel, and and her body positioning is not in a way where she can see her girl and the ball. And also she's way too high, right? Understand she's playing top of the 8, but she's got to be in a position now to start sloughing down and helping the ball. Now, because these defenders are not ball side, all right, notice what happens here. I think we want to kind of key in on this area of the screen, all right? This girl's able to just take that space and get a great shot off and score. Now, well, she didn't score, but almost did. I want to go back one more time too. So here's a box lacrosse concept. I know I love box lax, and I love that our girls are starting to play it because this is literally fundamental box lacrosse. Okay, so a lot of times this girl is taught to catch the ball in her left hand, her outside hand, so she's protected. However, all right, if you have space and there's no one around you, having your stick in the right hand right here is actually really advantageous because your stick is now to the inside, increasing your angle and allowing you to put the ball in different spots of the goal here. All right, so this was just, I think, a ridiculous save or hit the pipe or something. And it like, I don't know what happened there, but that's a great example of just catching the ball with your stick to the inside when most girls catch it to the outside. So, all right, so we'll let this clear play out a little bit. All right, notice how hard Stony Brook rides the ball. Everyone's running full speed, their attackers all the way down to their defenders. Hopkins plays kind of more of like they're more of like a skilled, pretty type of lacrosse. Stony Brook's a little more gritty. They're skilled too, and they're smart. And I think it's good to have a combination of both. I think Stony Brook's a good example of why they're so difficult to play against because they're tough and gritty. All right, so we're gonna go back here for a second. All right. We're going to talk about why this is a tough pass. All right, so again, we talked about when you're trying to dissect a zone, when there are girls who are obviously playing the perimeter and playing in their areas, you want to try to get inside the zone and make, this is like a serious pressure point on a defense inside the 8 here. Now you also have to understand like when to throw it inside there and why you should throw it in there. So I'm not really sure where this girl's going with this pass, but she throws it somewhere in this area for maybe this cutter or this lefty. But you're throwing through 1, 2, and then potentially if this girl gets down, 3 sticks. All right. So when you're throwing through that many sticks from an offensive perspective, it's not a great pass. It's also a tough pass because when you throw the ball from up top into the crease, more often than not, the girl that's going to be receiving the pass. So like, let's say this girl, or this girl receives that pass, her back is to the goal, which is a very difficult position to be in because you then need to turn your body, square up, look at the goal, analyze where the goalie is and get a good shot off, okay? Now, a good time to feed the ball inside, or a better time, is when the ball is behind. Because at that point, when the feed comes to the middle here, the girl who catches it is facing the goal, and it's a lot easier to get the ball in and out of your stick quickly and get a good shot on goal because you're looking at the cage, you can survey things much faster and see where the goalie is. And again, you can even go as quickly as a quick stick, or you can even catch and have time to throw a couple fakes to score a goal. So again, I don't love this feed for a lot of reasons, but most importantly, there's just too many sticks in the lane there. So there's a good example when the ball's on the ground. If you're on defense, just get the ball going upfield your way. And I'm going to go back here for a second. All right, so ball's on the ground, right? Stony Brook's going for it. All right, so here, even if you can't pick this ball up, just get it to space here, right? You want to get the ball going upfield your way. That's like a super important point because what happens here is, they don't pick the ball up right away, and they have, 4 girls standing outside the fan here, which leaves a lot of space. All right, now let's talk. This is a situation called a numbers situation. All right, so when you're in a numbers situation, right, it means that the offense, let's say, has 4 players and you have 3 players, right? There's some sort of like disadvantage at play for the defense, or advantage for the offense. So when you're in a numbers situation, you have to figure out who the most lethal players are in the field. Now, I would think right now, considering the ball's here and she's marked up, these are the 2 players that are most concerning. All right, so if I'm this girl that's next in, I got to match up with one of these 2 girls, and I got to be communicating to this player so that way they can't get a good shot off. All right, so what's happening here is there's no communication between her and her. This girl doesn't know what to do because she has 2 extremely dangerous players in a spot where they can get a good shot off. All right, and as a result, because there's a miscommunication and they don't do a great job matching up with the most dangerous players, all right, this girl's wide open inside for what should have been a goal. That was a great save. I mean, I was super lucky, but winning the whistle, right? That was a great job by the Hopkins girl, just picking it up and doing what's called winning the whistle, which means before the whistle is blown, your team is ready to go before the other team. It creates advantage a lot of times. It's also a new feature to the girls' game, which I think people should take advantage of. All right, tough feed. All right, goalie throws it to space. I'm surprised they didn't call a card there, but I guess they call a push. Ball's gonna be with Hopkins here. All right, we have a little less than 10 minutes, so I'm gonna skip forward a little bit here. Let's go to 42:50. Actually, you know what? Give me a second here. I want to go back. Okay, freeze. Should I play a little bit more? All right. So right now, this girl over here in Hopkins has the ball. All right. This defender does an unbelievable job anticipating the pass, all right? So defensively, anticipation is huge, right? Anticipation is getting an understanding of where the ball is going to be and when is it going to be there. So that way, hopefully you can put yourself in a position where you can interfere with the play or intercept and create offense or transition for yourself. All right. This girl telegraphs her pass, which means you stare down the person, right? That's going to throw that ball. All right. That's very risky, especially at the top of the box. You know, in the boys' game, it's the box. In the girls' game, you got the 12 here. Reason being, right? This girl does a great job and she picks the ball off. All right. And when you intercept the ball in this area of the field or turn it over in this side of the field, a team like Stony Brook, who likes to play fast and play in transition, is going to take advantage of this all day. All right. So that's a great job anticipating right there. Tough job telegraphing. And then let's talk transition lacrosse here for a second. So I mentioned this earlier with Sam DeSalva, who's here. So she's trailing the play, which means she's behind the ball. This girl is what's called ahead of the play. In transition, you want to get ahead of the play. So even though Sam is trailing at this point, she's doing everything in her power, which is basically running full speed. It's about an 80-yard sprint or 60-yard sprint to get ahead of this ball. All right. And the reason, again, we talked about this, the reason Sam wants to do that is because if she's trailing the play, no defender in blue has to respect her in the transition game, which makes it harder to create opportunities on the offensive end. All right. So these girls are doing a great job just getting ahead of the play, even though they're exhausted from playing defense. All right. And then notice what happens because of it. Because Sam does her best to try to get ahead of the play, she's now in the action. All right. So she receives a pass in a spot where she's a threat. All right. So she's going to draw a defender naturally because she's a threat. All right. So she draws this defender. All right. Notices that she's marked up. In transition, we talked about this. You don't really want to move the ball until someone commits to you. So Sam does a great job committing and moving it. And notice after she moves the ball, she keeps her feet going to free up this space for Kylie to drive into. All right. So Kylie drives into that space, looks inside to this girl who's trailing the play. Again, you go from trailing it to trying to get ahead of it or get into it. All right. And because it really all starts with the midfielders, because they do such a good job drawing girls, moving it, and then keeping the play extended, this girl has a lane right down the middle for a shot and a goal. That was probably one of the nicest transition goals I've ever seen on film, just because it involved almost every person on the field. And it was just from start to finish, such a great example. Let's go back and watch that whole play because that's how good it was. I'm going to see what time it was. Okay, so 42:36. Let's check it out. See, this is not even the best part. It all starts with the defenders. All right, it's everybody's goal. All right, so again, Hopkins has the ball up top. Our girl over here telegraphs it. Our girl in Stony Brook anticipates it, picks it off. Everyone's getting ahead of the play. All right, so she's carrying up that far side. Pass down, cut, right? Pass, cut. Draw, pass, cut. Right? In transition, let your best feeders make the decision on who should score the winning goal. Like Kylie's got, I think, the most assists in NCAA history. Like, let her make that decision on who should receive that ball in transition and score the goal. Don't leave it up to your, maybe your midfielders who, again, have just played a ton of defense and are really tired, right? Leave it up to your attackers to do what they do best. So this is a really, really nice example. Again, box concepts, girls. The pass, let's see if we can watch that last second real quick. So box concept, pass, pick down, right? That's the same kind of setup there. It's a little bit higher away from the goal. We do it a little bit lower. But again, because Sam passed and kind of got through, it committed 2 players to the ball, and it gave this girl space to get right down the middle. Box concepts. Nice hard shot, also off the goalie's hip. That was awesome. All right, so we got a few more clips. We have a little less than 4 minutes here. All right, I want to get through a couple more clips. 42:50, so we got through that. All right, so let's get to the second half. I'm going to go to 103. Okay. All All right, second half here. All right, let's talk off-ball play for a second. All right, Kylie's got the ball. I gotta plug my computer in so it doesn't die on me. Sorry, 1 second here. All right, so Kylie's got the ball at X on the left side over there. All right, and all the girls up top are doing everything they can to try to free one another to get open. All right, you don't have 5 girls independently cutting at the ball, calling for it. You have 5 girls working in either pairs or in parts to work to get, you know, one specific or maybe 2 players open. That's the best way to move off ball. All right, so if you have everyone cutting at the ball, no one's going to be open. All right, you're also clogging space in the middle here. So Kylie has no option to potentially dodge to the goal. All right, so someone's probably going to be open because you have 5 girls to their 4. All right, this girl's keying in on her because most likely Kylie's going to win her matchup and draw that slide. All right, but what I really want everyone to do is just notice all the action of these girls up top moving. All right, and because all those girls up top are active and they're moving, all right, it frees up actually her sister, all right, for a shot right on the crease. Let's go back here and look at the beauty of this play here. All right, so one of the most incredible things I think about this play is really just the chemistry between Kylie and her sister and kind of understanding where they are in the field. All right, so right now her sister, if you want to key on her, all right, she's a really sneaky good off-ball attacker at this point. All right, she's kind of reading not only the ball, she's reading her girl. All right, and when you're off ball, all right, you don't want to just stare at the ball. You want to stare at your defender too, or see your defender. So that way, if you play off her, you might be able to get an opportunity. All right, so she notices her defender is staring at the ball. So she quickly flashes back to space and gets that shot off and scores that goal. All right, that was a really nice little play. But again, it wasn't just between Kylie and her sister. It was the 5 girls that were working together off ball to occupy defenders and make it really difficult to defend that. All right, so we actually are out of time. But what did you girls think? Did you guys enjoy watching a really high-level team in Stony Brook and learning some stuff from them? Yeah? I know a lot of you are muted, but I see your heads turning, which it's good. I understand it's super early. Some of us just rolled out of bed, which I respect you coming on. And we're going to be doing this again every week. So what I would like everyone to do is make sure to tune in next week, and I'm going to cut up some new film for everyone. We'll watch a new game. I'm going to get a Stony Brook game from this past year, and it'll be really good. It's great to get your mental reps right now and keep learning, okay? So I'll actually be seeing our 24s later this afternoon and some of our 23s, but any of our high school girls, we'll see you guys next week, okay? Thanks for tuning in, ladies. I'll see you guys soon, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.